All right, we're back. Monday night. Caught you guys on Friday last week, which was a little bit different, but that's okay. We were at Swell, and then we were at Futurist. Then we had another conference weekend. So we've been back to back to back the last couple of weeks here in California and New York, and then down to Florida, and then back here in Texas. And we had an event that we hosted or co-hosted with Laughlin, who is our one of our partners for Digital Ascension Group, and they do a lot of paralegal work for us here in Dallas. We went over the Rockefeller method. So for those that may not know, asset protection, estate planning, insurance, infinite banking, all the fun stuff that a lot of people think about or may not know about, went into that Friday, Saturday, Sunday this week with a pretty large group from our community there in the Mastermind, which was awesome, alongside many other entrepreneurs there that Laughlin had at the event. And I think people kind of got a crash course in everything. Many people kind of know what's going on with asset protection. We talk about a lot of that stuff here when it comes to getting your assets into LLCs, limiting liability around those, utilizing the full breadth of the tax code, filing those entities in different jurisdictions to be able to mitigate, some risk, mainly through the anonymity component. If you file an LLC in, South Dakota, Wyoming, Nevada, or over there in Delaware, then you're going to get some benefit through attorney-client privilege, where your stuff isn't out there publicly available for people to figure out and find out who's associated with the LLC or who is who owns that company. And as we move forward here with permission domains and a lot of the things on the XRPL around XRP, I think that that's going to become exponentially more valuable for people that are holding that asset in particular. Look, I don't know the future any more than anybody else does, but if it does become the backbone of the financial system, they're going to want to know who's participating and who's holding that asset. And if they do permission domains, you're likely going to have to disclose that information to some counterparties. You'll have KYC, KYB accreditation, other credentials attached to that wallet address that you're using to participate in the ecosystem. And in doing that, ideally, you would want to maintain your anonymity, right? You're going to want to maintain your privacy. And so to do that, participating through a trust or an LLC is going to be a lot better situated than doing it out of your personal name, which I think a lot of people, these aren't things you really think about, right? Like you're making these investments, you're buying these assets in anticipation of price appreciation and the ability to utilize them to generate cash flow or be able to leverage them, borrow against them while they continue to appreciate. And those are a lot of the things we work with people over there on at Digital Wealth Partners. But really the anonymity and the privacy and the creditor protection, I think, are going to become much, much more important as things progress here in the space. So if you don't already have an LLC, if you don't already have a trust in place, I would at least start looking at those things. I'm not saying you have to have them today, especially if your portfolio values, less than $50,000 to $80,000. You're probably better off continuing to dollar cost average and buy the crypto versus setting up a company to manage your crypto. But once your assets appreciate beyond that, and I do think that they will if you're invested in certain assets in the market, it's probably a good idea. And if you want help with that, again, you don't have to do it through us. You can work with another attorney. Please don't use the LegalZoom to do this stuff. I know it's tempting because it is a low cost. And everybody's in a different position, with their cash flow. Many people are crypto rich, cash poor. I understand, believe me. But if you're going to do it, I would encourage you to do it correctly. I would encourage you to use an attorney. If you want to work with us, we would love to work with you. We do it for $2,000 end to end. Those prices are going to increase in the near future. We're going to add some additional services onto the package that we provide people. And we're probably going to move the price up to $4,000 a piece, but it's going to come with a bunch of other things. I don't like raising prices and not adding additional value. Originally, when we first started doing the LLC service, we were referring it out to an attorney, and then we brought it in house for $400, and then we moved it to 1,000, and then I think we moved it to 1,500, and then we moved it to 2,000 with the discount code that it is now. If you use 50 off 50 OFFDAG LLC, gets you everything end to end that you would need for the LLC. When we move to the $4,000 price point, which is what's on our website without the discount code, then we'll add an additional living trust alongside that. Likely we'll have a bank account associated with it. And there'll be some other things that we just set up, without you having to think about it, because that's what most people want to do. They just like, I want this, and I don't want to have to do all of the nuance and think through all the things. I just want to work with a professional to get it done the right way. And so that's what we provide people. So again, if you want to, keep it at the $2,000 level and get access to everything that we provide now, you can use the code 50OFF50 OFFDAG LLC at digitalfamilyoffice.io. But I want to start with that. It's something we talked about in the Mastermind a little bit earlier today. I have over 10,000 people in the Mastermind, which is like, I don't know. I am blown away by how many people want to be part of that community. It's month to month. There's no contract, if it's social or carbon 1 or carbon 2. This person's asked, what's the minimum amount of crypto you have to invest in the LLC setup? Richard, if you have less than $50,000 to $80,000 in total portfolio value, I wouldn't worry about it right now. Your money's probably better spent continuing to buy crypto. There's a higher ROI there. When your stuff gets beyond $50,000 to $80,000, if you're married, $80,000. If you're single, $50,000. And the way that I come to those numbers is there's a gift tax threshold here in the U.S. of 15 million per person next year, and with some of the price appreciation on some things, I think $50,000 today could be 15 million in the not too distant future, which sounds absurd. There was a gentleman that he actually put out a really coherent video about Bitcoin and XRP and his paradigm or thesis around price appreciation for those assets, which I appreciated. I agreed with the majority of what he even said in the video. He just had a hard time comprehending a 4 or 5 digit XRP. And it's difficult, right? Like, people have a hard time with that because it would be more valuable. Like, the market cap would be greater than the total global economic financial system, which seems absurd. But in order to provide liquidity for everything, you would need it to be that way. You would need it to be an astronomical value. Not the token itself. You would want the token to remain somewhat reasonable, independently. And that's why Bitcoin at scale, like, if it backed the whole global financial system and there was that much, liquidity in that network, one, it's not scalable because of the energy requirements at that point, and the latency on the network. But in addition to that, the token value itself would be, even a SAT would be too expensive. And so, people have a hard time with 100 billion XRP, but when you're talking about quadrillions and pentillions of dollars moving across a global economy, yeah, you need billions of a token for it to remain a reasonable price, and still have enough liquidity in it to be able to move value across all of the economy, and all the markets, right? So, the people that put this together and built these things have a lot of forethought. It wasn't like it was just a fly by night, hey, we'll try this thing. I have a high conviction that this stuff has been in the works for decades, closer to 50 years type thing. And maybe that's conspiratorial. That's okay. What's the difference between a conspiracy theorist and reality? Most times, like 6 to 12 months. So we'll see on this. I think XRP could easily be 4 to 5 digits in the next 12 months. Maybe sooner if things play out. So that's what we're going to kick it off with tonight. We'll go ahead and jump into the super chats here over on YouTube. Appreciate you guys taking time out of your Monday night to come hang out with me and ask good questions. Over here on TikTok and on X and Facebook too. Appreciate everybody taking time to hang out with me. We've got Mr. Ben Kennedy with the super chat, and no question. I appreciate the super chat though, my man. Scrolling down here, we've got the Nugget Hunter. He said, "Did you get my book I mailed you?" I don't want to be. I get. This is going to sound egotistical or weird. There have been a lot of books that have been mailed to me in the recent history. Without knowing the name of the book, it would be difficult for me to tell you which book it was or if I have received it. But I have received 5 different books in the last month. So if you mailed me a book, there's a high likelihood that I did receive it. And I do want to say thank you to everybody that has sent gifts and books and different things to the office or the P.O. box, or just to my family. I'm blown away by people's generosity and some of the things that we've received, like the crystal ball, which I need to turn on. Bam! Turn on that crystal ball. People are so wonderful. I feel so blessed and grateful for all the gifts that people send. Thank you. There was a gentleman that gave me a bottle of wine at the Laughlin event that has XRP on it. And he was like, "My only request is when XRP hits $10, you pop this baby and send me a picture of you drinking out of it." And I'm like, deal. I absolutely will celebrate with this bottle of wine. So again, I've gotten hats. Thank you for all the hats. Thank you. Some guy gave me a knife. Thank you for that. When some guy was a good guy, but anyway, yeah. I probably received your book, but if you want to DM me on Twitter or on Discord, I can verify that. And I do want to say I apologize to the amount of messages that I have on Discord. Unfortunately, I wasn't feeling good yesterday after I did the town hall, and I wasn't able to get to everybody. But we're here, made it to Monday. So we got ADR. They say, "Hey Jake, appreciate you being trusted voice in crypto. After price appreciation, if I qualify for DAG, how would diversification work? Do you offer real estate? Goal is enough RWAs for FI, even if XRP dips, any XRP or fund income, or just extra?" It's just extra. So yes, we have a ton of opportunities in real estate, private equity, private credit, debt, bunch of stuff. So we work with people on multiple types of real estate. You got residential, you got commercial, you got multifamily, you got raw land, and you have industrial, and there's subsets of each one of those. A lot of the people that we work with are in opportunity zones on multifamily or commercial, and they're able to get 100% depreciation the first year and defer those taxes for 5 years under the big beautiful bill. So that's a great way to be able to offset some of your taxable income by investing in real estate. Most of the time, those are in secondary or tertiary markets, and they're going to be value add. So we're going to come in and renovate the property a little bit, put additional capital into them, raise rents. Most of the time, there's a pretty significant occupancy rate, somewhere between 96 and 98%. And you can raise rates a little bit, and you're going to see some occupancy drop off. But if you're keeping it north of 92% occupied and you've raised rents, you're probably still doing pretty good. Flat roof apartments, come in, put a pitched roof on it, redo a bunch of things. Work with a lot of people in that sector. And then raw land, starting to get more and more of those people. We have one of our high roller clients has a lot of raw land that he's bought over the past 30 years with some of the tech exits that he's had. So yeah, again, tons of opportunities. We also have condos that are built in Florida each year. We have another group that we work with there that guarantees a 42% return within 12 months. And that sounds crazy, but I've watched him do it 5 years in a row with $300 million apartment complexes. So, or not, but condominiums. So blown away. And, again, we have opportunities to partner with people like that on the other side of price appreciation. We've even done some of that now for the higher net worth clients. We've made introductions. They've made additional investments in real estate. We have a lot of people that are in real estate that want to invest in crypto. And so there's a lot of synergy between that. You've seen Grant Cardone start to integrate some of that into his business. If he was doing it with XRP, I think he would be crushing it. Doing it with Bitcoin, I don't know that that's going to go so well for him. But to each their own. I have a lot of respect for Grant. Some of his business practices are a little, I don't know, just not always in the best interest of his LPs. And for that reason, I don't know that I would do business with him, but I do have a lot of respect for him. There's a lot of people that I can respect, but wouldn't necessarily do business with. Jordan Belfort, right? Wolf of Wall Street type people that I'm like, wow, pretty sharp. I don't know if I want to do business with that guy. So anyway, yeah, we have a ton of stuff like that for post-price appreciation. And we're working with other people that are tokenizing real estate. So over the long term, you should be able to trade in and out of those other financial opportunities, real time, 24/7, 365, using our algorithms that we're building to be able to meet those, the level of diversification that you're looking for in uncorrelated asset classes, depending on market conditions, and be able to generate outsized returns by holding your assets in certain vehicles that are tax deferred or tax free. So we work with people on our IRAs today. We're about to launch a trading algorithm that sits on top of those accounts to be able to generate additional returns on top of your XRP or your XLM in kind and in cash. We'll be the only people to market with that, and that's imminently going to be available. We'll make a full announcement when that actually comes out. That's been in the works for a long time. And then, we have a lot of other cool products that we're bringing to market here in Q4 and early Q1 as well. So you'll definitely be getting that cash flow off of your XRP, and we'll definitely be able to participate in other opportunities outside of digital assets in the very near future as well. We got C Mills. They say, I saw a short where you mentioned that they could create a law where only companies could hold XRP. Do you stand by this, or was it fake? Yeah, that's kind of how I started this whole deal, right? So I do think that there is a potential in the near future that they could absolutely put that in position. They want to know the counterparties that they're participating with. Permission domains on the network. We're missing like 2 more votes for that to be solidified, and then we have to wait, the 2-week cool-off period before it's actually implemented on chain. But yeah, absolutely. I think that there could be a situation where it's only for enterprises, institutions, companies, and the average person, one, will be priced out or it won't be available. You might have to be a qualified purchaser or a very wealthy corporation in order to even be able to participate or obtain XRP. I don't think it'll be available to the public over the long term. Now, there is a DEX for the network, and so there may be a way that you could still participate through that and purchase it. But in my mind, I think XRP is going to operate similar to gold, that there will be a spot price and there'll be a premium above that it trades at on the secondary market for OTC trades. That's far above and beyond what the actual spot price of the underlying asset is. So we'll have to see. I do have a crystal ball, but I don't know everything. But I do think that there's a significant probability that you likely will have to participate through a corporation or trust over the long term. Whale Balls, interesting name. They say the cowboy guy kept interrupting you. So what were you trying to say about Phil Mickelson? So for those that don't know, the cowboy guy that he's referring to is Future, or Sean, who is another moderator in the mastermind that we are. He's a pleasure to have there with us. So Phil Mickelson actually put out a tweet today, which was really interesting. So you guys know I played golf in high school. I followed Phil when he had a rivalry with Tiger, and they were both winning majors back in the day. And Phil's in his probably 50s at this point, because Tiger is too. And he put out a tweet that said gas in California is going to be $13 when oil goes from $60 to $100 a barrel. Now, Phil's not a macroeconomic guy. Okay, he plays golf. He's sharp. Don't get me wrong. Phil Mickelson's a sharp guy. But why would he tweet that? Like, what did he hear? Who did he talk to make him feel as though oil would spike from $60 per barrel, which it is today, WTI crude, all the way up to $100 a barrel? I don't know, but it's something I've been talking about for a long time. So it just caught my eye that somebody that I follow, but not really for macroeconomics, would make such a statement, and with such certainty. Also, it wasn't like a question if that was going to happen. It was like, when this occurs, this is the price of what gas is going to be in California. So take that for what you will. Again, Phil is a professional golfer. He is not a macroeconomist or economist. So, take it with a grain of salt. But I found it interesting, and I tend to agree with him. I think that oil is going from $60 to $100, and that's going to cause the reverse carry trade to unwind at scale, and all the other things that I've been talking about for the domino theory over the last 18 months will play out. We got K27. He says, legend. What's up, man? What are the pros and cons between working with you versus using Flare Network to earn, loan, and so forth? We got to sit down with Hugo at Swell. He was there. I actually spoke on a panel with him and the CEO at Vivo Power, which is a DAT for XRP. It was the first DAT for XRP. And we got to chat with him a little while after that panel and hang out with him and his team there, which was really cool to meet Hugo in person and be able to sit down and discuss opportunities and synergies that we might have. And I would say any smart contract, not just Flare, any smart contract that you're participating with, there's no leniency. So what do I mean by that? Well, if you borrow from something and the price drops dramatically, like we saw in 1010 when there was a bunch of leverage that was pulled out of the market, or if you want to talk about the tweet from Trump on the tariffs, and that's what caused it. However you want to look at it, you would have been liquidated. Period. Like they sell your assets, it's gone. We lost no XRP, so we had about $35 million out in loans against XRP. None of that was liquidated. Our partners, because we deal with people, have some leniency. There's some flexibility in that stuff when you're working with people and not with protocols. So, up to you what you fancy. I prefer to work with people and have some leniency so that there's some understanding when things go sideways and you have some time to fix some stuff if it doesn't work out. Protocols are very fair, if you want to call them that, because there's no middleman. There's nobody to give you any leniency. It is, if this happens, then this happens. So, it's good in that aspect, but if you're the borrower, it's not so good. Your stuff's just liquidated and you're left with what you borrowed. So in that aspect, I think we have a better product today. Over the long term, I think that you could build that into a smart protocol. You could build in, some leniency into a smart contract, and not be so harsh on things. But for the lender, liquidate the assets. Take them away, especially if you think they're going to be more valuable later on. Now, on the yield side of things, what I would say there is until we have insurance on smart contracts and or guaranteed deposits inside of institutional custody, where we know that you've mitigated counterparty risk and the risk of a hack happening to the smart contract and somebody being able to take your stuff, um, I'm going to continue to utilize the infrastructure that we've built. But as Flare gets integrated into institutional DeFi, I think that there's a huge opportunity for us to work with that network and protocol to be able to create synergies between the traditional finance and legacy financial system and digital assets. Until then, I'm probably not going to utilize those things. Not selling anybody else not to. My risk tolerance on losing stuff is just probably higher than many people. And that's also why the standard that we have in place for a lot of things at Digital Wealth Partners is significantly higher than anybody else in the industry. So I think there'll be a time for it. And again, not telling anybody not to utilize smart contracts. If you are native DeFi and you understand how to do it all, and that was the other thing I talked to about Hugo. He's like, there's a lot of stuff that people have to understand in order to be able to bridge this over and do it the right way and make it happen. It's not just like it's a one-click thing yet. They're working on that, which I think is incredible, and I think that they'll be able to accomplish it. But today, it is a bit cumbersome to actually mint your XRP on Flare and then utilize that over there to generate returns. And I think that's an additional benefit that advisors at Digital Wealth Partners can provide people. You know, a lot of people watching this, I'm sure, are very capable and competent when it comes to digital assets. But there are another group of people that are still holding their stuff on an exchange because they're scared to even send a transaction to a cold wallet, which again, not knocking anybody. Everybody has a different level of comfortability with things, and everybody's been here for different time frames, and everybody has, different goals and long-term outcomes that they're looking for. So, depending on what those are and what I've just stated, you could probably discern which is going to be better for you, and how high your risk tolerance is and what you want to participate in what time frames. So love what they're doing over there at Flare. Completely support what they're doing. I think that the innovation is fantastic. For me, though, I want to see the institutional applications of the Flare network and its protocol. That's going to involve the insurance, institutional custody, and a lot of the ways that we're mitigating risks that exist today in DeFi that wouldn't be there if it's done a certain way. Nico says, the legend, what's up, man? Happy I found your content. My discernment has been like super since a kid, and everything about it. Trust your knowledge and hints. Appreciate that, man. I'm here to try to pass on. I'm again very privileged and humbled to be in some of the rooms that I've been able to get into and speak with and talk to the people that we have relationships with today. It's kind of surreal. Like went to Swell and like passed by Stuart Alderati and the other people at Ripple, and they know who I am. Like, hey Jake, just reach out, shake my hand. What's up, man? How's it going? I don't have to introduce myself. It's very surreal. It's very weird. So again, super privileged to be in a lot of these rooms, and I try to bring back what I can to the channel here and talk to you guys about it and give you an inside glimpse of what's going on and help you and your family have the discernment like you talked about to make good decisions for you and yourself for the long-term, benefit of the next generation and many generations ahead. So, whether that's the estate planning piece or mitigating taxes or structuring things the right way or different investments in digital assets. And I should probably give my disclaimer. Nothing said here is financial advice. It's only for entertainment and educational purposes only. If you need a financial advisor, you can work with our firm at Digital Wealth Partners, and they can provide that for you. The opinions stated here are my opinions alone, and they are not the opinions of Digital Ascension Group or its subsidiary Digital Wealth Partners, which is an SEC registered RIA. Now that I have the disclaimer out of the way, we can, we can continue going on. We've got work hard, play hard. what's up, my man? He says, why does Google say is it possible for XRP to hit $1,000? So these LLMs, which are large language models, which is what most people refer to as AI at this point, they're not really AI. They're not AGI. They're not artificial and general intelligence. They can't think for themselves or think critically through things. What they do is they scour the internet and then they regurgitate whatever they find. So the majority of whatever's out on the internet is what's going to be given to you in that large language model when you ask it a question. Nothing wrong with that. It's a great way to survey the internet and get a SparkNotes version of what's actually out there, right? But that's all it is. It's just what the internet says. And if you believe everything that you read on the internet, you're probably not ever going to innovate. You think, if you had asked, what's the quote? Henry Ford said if he had asked people what they wanted, they would have said a faster horse. He built a car at scale and made it economical and for everybody to be able to afford it. This person's asked, is Web3 a scam? Web3 is a scam. Yes, it's a scam. I do not promote Web3. I've never been affiliated with them. If you see any content that's like AI versioned of me, I have all my fingers. I'm a real person. AI, they're doing lots of crazy stuff. Web3 is a scam. Please do not send your stuff there. So separate to that, my point being, people think critically, and something that hasn't happened in the past is difficult for people to have discernment about or understanding of. And so Google, again, they're using LLM. They're just going to use their AI and it's going to go out and survey the internet. And if there's enough people that have said XRP going to $1,000 is impossible, that's what it's going to bring back to you. So I'm not going to argue with a large language model that hasn't had the conversations that I've had or the understanding of how things could actually work in the future or can't think critically, because it's not really a good use of my time. But aside from that, just be careful. You also tend to put biases in your question when you ask a large language model what you want to know. And it'll also utilize previous questions to discern what biases and information to display you. It learns what you want it to say over time. So, be careful with that. I know a lot of people are using ChatGPT and Grok and Claude and all of the fun stuff out there. I do too. Just be aware, you're giving that thing a lot of information about you and yourself. So be careful what you ask it. We've got Living for Giving. Very cool name. They say, Jake, thanks for all the financial. I do not give financial advice. He said, thanks for all the financial advice that you do not give. Up. Set up LLC and onboard with DWP. How much should your assets be worth before setting up a trust? Depends on the type of trust. I think the less amount that you have that you want to pass on, the more imperative it is to set up a living trust. Even if you had $100,000 to $500,000, a living trust is extremely important to prevent probate and provide probate protection for your kids or beneficiaries of the trust, whoever that's going to be. You want to protect that, make sure the people that are going to get the right thing, and there's no fighting after you pass away, because that happens more often than you would like it to between family members. Most of the time, well, all the time, those are filed in the state that you reside in. They can be revocable or irrevocable. A revocable trust allows you to make iterations and changes to it later on. Most often, you are the trustee on that type of trust. And it's what most people think of when they think of a trust. They think of a living trust set up in their state. This person says, why is Web3 a scam? It's a website where they're trying to take your XRP, and when you try to get it back off of there, they won't give it to you. It is a scam. So anyway, back to living trust still. It I think that that's a great thing to have in place, irrespective of where you're at. If you have a home, if you have other things that you want to pass on to your kids, or again, your grandkids or beneficiaries, probably should set that up. And that's for everyone. Now, an asset protection trust or a dynasty trust or a spendthrift trust or some of the other um, types of trusts that are out there, there's like over 80 different types of trusts. And really, they're just contract law. You can put any one of those provisions in any type of trust if you wanted to. We set up intentionally defective grantor trusts for some people, depending on how much they're worth. Other people do charitable remainder trusts. We can do ILETs. We can do asset protection trust. We can do dynasty trust. There's a lot of different things that we help people structure depending on their circumstances, their long-term goals, how much their assets are. There's a lot of things that go into it. The time to start looking at something more aggressive is not really the right word, but more comprehensive for your estate planning. In most circumstances, would be north of $1 million. I think that this could be beneficial for people that have as little as really 50 or 100,000 XRP, but they're expensive. They're not cheap. Somewhere between 15 and 25 grand most of the time. So it's kind of like which one? 6, 7. That's what the cool kids say. We've set up a lot of trusts for people with more than that. If you have more than that, absolutely you should be looking at this, because with the price appreciation that I anticipate on XRP and how short of a time frame that's going to occur in, I think that it could absolutely be well worth it and save you a bunch of taxes. In the past, I've said, somewhere between 750,000 and $1 million. I think that's probably still relevant today. Maybe as little as $500,000 in total portfolio value. But again, I've seen people do it at 50 and 100,000 XRP. So that'd be $250,000 today. And for them, they're a bit older. They have less time horizon. They want to make sure that things are structured irrespective, because they know the long-term benefit of these assets. And so they're willing to pay a little bit more now versus later, because they want the assets to grow inside of that trust and not have any issues. So, again, we kind of meet you where you are. Everybody's in a different spot. We can give you kind of best practices on things, but at the end of the day, we don't provide legal advice. We're just kind of, counselor on that stuff. We do have multiple estate planners and tax attorneys that we work with to help give you, the full plan and best options, and work with them to file everything. So if that's something that sounds interesting to you and you do want to start working on that, you reach out to digitalfamilyoffice.io and just email us at info@digitalfamilyoffice.io, and we'll get you set up with some good people to talk to. Silverado, man, he says, do you think we hit $100 this month or next month? Everybody with the price questions. I mean, we finally got over 1.7 today on the 10-year yield there for Japan and their bonds. In a very precarious position there. Still waiting on oil to spike. Still waiting on the government to come back up on Thursday. Ripple loves Thursdays. Also anticipating the ETFs going live this week on Thursday. Interesting. BlackRock's 2-year anniversary of them filing their trust in Delaware for their iShares XRP ETF, also on Thursday. It's a good Thursday. The answer is I don't know which month it'll happen in. I feel like we should be good by Christmas. So that could be this month, could be next month. We'll see. There's a reason that the Bears always posted at Christmas. So just have to see. Again, it's going to be dependent on real global macroeconomic events that have to play out, that may be coordinated, that end up being the perfect storm for XRP to reach that type of price level. I see all of the elements in place ready to go for that to happen. Timing, it's not my thing. My bet is, with scams, is $750 by the end of the year. Scams is the name of an account on Twitter, by the way, just to let people know. So will I win that bet? I don't know. My whole goal with that was to get people that he had taken XRP from and other bets their XRP back, because not everybody is in a position to lose XRP. So whether I win or lose, all those people get made whole, which is exactly what I wanted. I'm very confident in that $100 number this year. 4 digits might take a little longer, but I'm okay with that. If it takes another couple months, it's in Q1 next year, that's also okay. I don't think anybody's going to be really upset about that. I don't think anybody's going to be upset when it's $100 this year either. We got, we already did this one, and we did ADR. ADR is interesting. So ADR is also the acronym for American Depository Receipts. We worked with RDC to file that for XRP back in February or March of this year, and hoping that some of that will pay off in the near future. Just have to see how things play out. We got Michael, my man. He says, El Mastro, what's up, dude? What's the APY on my crypto when I get on board with you guys? Do I start making money as soon as I get on? Can you give me a quick explanation of how institutional holdings work? Sure. So today, we do not have a way to be able to pay out monthly returns immediately once you come on board. That is the next iteration or product that we're bringing to market in the very short term. We've been working for the last 6 months to get that across the line. We're finally down to like a signature. As soon as the signature happens, we'll finally be able to do that. And that product will pay somewhere between 3 and 5% per year. Guaranteed monthly payouts. So the APY is 3 to 5%. The monthly payout will be prorated based on that percentage. And it will be, as your XRP will be collateralized. It's locked there in your account. You can see it the whole time, doesn't move out of your wallet, and you're able to get that return. So you lock it up for whatever period, 6 months or a year, and you're able to get that guaranteed somewhere between 3 and 5% a year. The products that we have on the market today are our hedge fund, where we have about $300 million worth of XRP being put to work right now. If we were on chain, we would be 5 times larger than, I say that. This is a couple weeks ago. I'm probably off on my numbers now, so I won't say that. We would be the largest DeFi protocol or liquidity pool on the XRPL if we were on chain, by far, more than double anybody else, Flare included. So those people have been earning somewhere between 6 and 15% per year. We've currently paid out almost 5% on the income fund over the last 2 quarters, which is awesome. And I do think that that will continue, So if we stay at that rate, we'd be at about 10% on the year, which I'm very happy with, for people to make cash returns on their XRP. The growth fund is a little bit less than that. I think they're 3% on the year so far. But they could also have a really good month. If we saw a run on XRP and they have long futures open, they did 18% last November in 1 month. So, we don't get all of that because of the way we structure it to mitigate risk and loss. We get about half of it. So if they did, 20% in the fund, we would get 10% a month, which again, be fine with. I don't think anybody would be griping about that. So anyway, unfortunately, those are paid out quarterly. So you asked cadence on some of this stuff and how quickly you're able to put it to work. If you get the money in your account by the 15th of the month, you can absolutely participate in the funds. We do the capital calls on the 1st of each month. We add an additional, somewhere between 20 and $80 million each month into the fund in XRP. And that XRP gets put to work and starts generating returns for people. So would love to work with you in that capacity if it's something that you're interested in. We do charge fees monthly. I wish we could do it quarterly. Our partners don't allow for that. So again, you're going to have to cover some fees in the short term till you get the payout and you pay yourself back. Working on other solutions for that. I don't have any today until we get that other product launch, which will pay you monthly. We got Jess from Apex Crypto on Paul Barron's podcast. He shows the research BIS, Combank's Interledger XRP. It seems that they will use XRP, including Swift. I think that that's really compelling and probably true. We got Crypto M. They say, if Canary's ETF is going live Thursday, BlackRock won't let them lead alone, will they? Interesting to me that BlackRock filed their their trust in Delaware 2 years to the day to this Thursday. So we'll just have to see what ends up shaking out with that. But I'm pretty confident that BlackRock's going to throw their hat in the ring at the last minute. It'd be funny if the government comes up Thursday and the SEC comes out with their standardized way to roll the ETFs, and sure enough, Vanguard and BlackRock just show up out of the blue right there and push their stuff through. Let's have to see. Got Jeremy. What's up, my man? He says, legend. What's up, dude? Just wanted to say thank you for everything that you do for the community. Blessings to you and your family. Still reeling from San Francisco event. Thank you for letting me win. So Jeremy and I arm wrestled in San Francisco, which was awesome. I didn't know that I was ever going to arm wrestle, but he's a big dude, big dude. I did lose to the arm wrestle with him in San Francisco. He was bulging out of his shirt. So his beard was too strong. I couldn't take his beard. I need to get more beard for the next time we arm wrestle, my man. Thank you for coming. I did really enjoy that. And I think other people did too. Everybody got a kick out of that. We got Santiago. He says, Jake, thanks for all the great info. Any concerns about decent cold wallet being manufactured in South Korea? None at all. So we've been an affiliate and a partner for them for a while, like probably a year and a half. And I've never had any issues. We've known their team for almost 2.5 years. Really like their product. I think that we promote them because I think it's better than anything else out on the market. Not that there aren't other good cold wallets. Like I've said, there's Tangem, there's EliPal, there's Arculus, there's other good stuff out there. I like Tangem because it has a biometric, or not Tangem, excuse me. I like Decent because it has a biometric. It has a 25th seed word that you can remember in your head, and you don't have to write down in order to be able to reconstitute your wallet. Kind of a safeguard, extra piece. It has a code where your family can get in if they don't have your biometric thumbprint. God forbid something happened to you. Has the largest breadth of assets that you can hold on there. And now they have other stuff on there where you're able to generate returns on your XRP in your cold wallet. Like, super innovative. And I think they'll continue to innovate. We saw the roadmap on the podcast that they did with us. I think they're awesome. I have no concerns about them. North Korea, yeah, we would have a problem. Like, not into that. But South Korea is huge for XRP. So is Singapore, a lot of Southeast Asia, big on XRP. So yeah, I'm all for them. If I had concerns about them, you can guarantee that we would not be promoting them. We would not be affiliated with them. They're one of like 2 people. Them and Uphold are the only 2 people we have ever had an affiliate agreement with. We're very selective because I don't need them. Like, We have other real businesses and other things. I don't, and that's the other deal. Like, I get on YouTube, I do this for fun. I don't do this to make money. I get a lot of fulfillment from this. I come on here and talk to you guys and answer questions. There's other people that this is all they do to make money, and they're clickbaity and like sell, merch and stuff. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not trying to knock anybody. I'm just saying, like, I can come on here and say whatever I want and be real with you guys, and I don't have to be any other way. I'm just how I am. And give you the real deal. I don't have to like sugarcoat anything or hold punches or anything. So anyway, that's why we're partners with them. I think that they are a good group. And believe me, if there's anything that gave me concern about our partners, you guys would be the first to know. I would be straight up here talking about it before anybody else was. We've got Dennis, my man. He says, why should I have a Wyoming LLC instead of a Nevada where I live? I don't want to pay for a foreign entity fee from Nevada. Nevada is a very good jurisdiction for LLCs. Wyoming adopted a lot of its legislation around LLCs from Nevada. You get attorney-client privilege. You get fantastic charging order protection there in Nevada. The only thing that I would say about Nevada versus Wyoming, and you would have to register as a foreign entity, is the maintenance and cost to maintain your entity there in Nevada is going to be a little bit more than Wyoming. The legislation around digital assets in particular is more favorable in Wyoming than it is in Nevada. And then lastly, taxes, state taxes. But again, if you're going to have to register as a foreign entity, it's not going to matter a whole lot anyway. So for those that live there in Nevada, you're probably okay to set up an LLC there and utilize that. I wouldn't use your home address. I would still use a registered agent if you were going to do it that way. Just to maintain your anonymity. You wouldn't want somebody to be able to find your home address and then, Google it and figure out that you were associated with the entity. That kind of takes away some of the benefit of attorney-client privilege that you get with that state. So I'd still work with an attorney to get it structured and filed there in Nevada. Operating agreement is going to be a little bit different because the laws in Nevada are not what they are in Wyoming in favor of digital assets. So you're going to be hard pressed to find an attorney there in Nevada that is proficient with digital assets versus one in Wyoming, which is a lot of what they do. Yeah, those are kind of the drawbacks and pros and cons. So you could definitely do it. You just need to make sure you're working with the right attorney there in Nevada to get it done the right way. Jeff, my man, he says the Japanese rate on the 10-year yield is 1.7. What percent does it need to be to kick off the reverse carry trade? It's not necessarily a percentage. If it continues to slowly climb like it is, it's concerning, but it's not enough to kick everything off. Unless it climbs to like 2%, gets 2%, yeah, like we're there. But I think it'll be an erratic move. I think it'll be like a 10% or 20% jump in the rate of return there on the 10-year yield. So if it jumped to like from 1.7 to 1.9, that's the type of move that would cause them to have to raise interest rates aggressively. And that could happen very shortly after oil were to spike, because people would anticipate them having to raise rates aggressively to combat the inflation there in their economy because of the energy costs that would start to go up and cause more inflation. So, again, watching the 10-year yield, because I do think that will be what causes things to move. We are absolutely in the danger zone. We've been in the danger zone for a little bit on the 10-year yield there in Japan, but it's going to be a 10% or 20% move to the upside in a very short period of time that would cause things to unwind. And that's what you saw last time when things started to unwind in August of 2024. We got Jeffrey. He says, what is the reason for BlackRock holding off on the ETF? What is their major purpose? Or will will there really not be an offer of XRP ETFs? I've talked about this before, but if you did want to coordinate a significant move higher on XRP, it wouldn't be a slow roll. It wouldn't be like this ETF comes out and then a couple more ETFs come out and then maybe this DAT comes out and then this ETF comes out. It'll be like, bam, throw them all on the fire at one time. And if you had, 11 or 12 spot ETFs all launch at the same time, that's a lot of demand. That's a lot of demand immediately for the asset all at one time. And that's how you push things to $50 or $100. If you slow roll it, you're going to have pullbacks. You're just not going to get the same move or FOMO that you would from institutions or retail at that time. And so with that, I think that's what they're holding off on. I think it's going to be coordinated and timed. And they'll make it look like it's not. The SEC will come out with, their list of things that you have to do to be able to push your spot ETF through for immediate approval. And that's when they'll drop it in and it'll all run at the same time. We've got Rick's Crypto Experiment. He says, I feel like a kid at Christmas. My LLC and trust are set up. Awesome. Anchorage and DWP are set up. Awesome. And I just hit my goal from XRP Bank. Dude, crushing it. That's fantastic. The next few months should be fun. Thank you for everything that you do. Thank you, man. I appreciate you being a client. And again, outside of the kind words there, which I'm really appreciative of, again, feel super blessed and humbled to be working with so many great people like yourself. But that's really what it is at the end of the day. If we don't have fantastic people to work with, like so many people in this audience and the mastermind that want our services and want what we were doing, I built all this stuff selfishly. It's stuff I want, and I think other people want it too, right? But I don't know that. I kind of did. Otherwise, I wouldn't have spent millions of dollars building the team and the integrations and the partnerships and all the stuff to make it possible. But again, none of this exists without you guys. So I just want to say thank you to all of our clients and all the people that we work with and all the future clients that we're going to have. You guys are what we do this for. It's not for us. It's not to make a ton of money. It is because we want people to have options before the banks show up, because they don't care about retail. I can tell you, because I talk to them all the time, they don't care about any of this stuff. You are a number to them, and when they show up, you will continue to be a number. I've done all of this because I've gotten so much from the XRP family. This is my way to give back to people and make sure that they're taken care of and they have a good spot to go and they can protect this stuff for their family and continue to grow it over the long term for generations, right? So thank you, Rick, for being willing to work with us. And again, thank you to all the clients that we have out there. We have over 2,500 clients at Digital Wealth Partners at this point, which is, again, just mind blowing. Got over 10,000 people in the mastermind that are there on a regular basis. If you want to join the mastermind, if you're like, I don't know if this stuff is legit or not, or like Jake seems cool, but still kind of fuzzy, not sure if this is legit, which is completely fair, by the way. Crypto is super sketchy. I'm just some guy on the internet. Like, why would you want to work with me? I completely get that. We throw in real life events so people can come meet with us, shake our hand, look us in the eye, meet with the advisors, meet with my team. We had 150 people this weekend at the Laughlin event that came there specifically to meet with my team and myself. People are nice enough to take photos with me, which is crazy. But people want a real person. They want to make sure that this is legit. We're happy to be open and transparent and have those conversations. We're in the US domestic for a reason. We've done everything the right way with standards and the compliance to make sure this is, you have full recourse against us. Working with institutional custodians. We have the insurance on the accounts. We have everything structured the right way with all the right filings and everything. And that's why some of these partnerships that we're going to be announcing are willing to work with us, because nobody else has done it the way that we've done it. Everybody else is working offshore and doing some sketchy stuff. So anyway, Would love to work with you. And if you, again, want to just figure out, like, dip your toe in the water and you're not sure, we would love to have you in the mastermind. Come check it out, see if it's for you. If it's not, again, no big deal. All you got to do is use the code Beyond Broke, all capitalized, the number 1, and then MO like Mary Oscar. It's right up there on the top of the screen. If you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, go to beyondbroke.com and use that. You get first month for like $2. And you can come in there to the community, see what we have to offer, talk to other people that have been clients, and see, if it's for you or not. And if it's not, that's okay too. We're not for everybody. And, sometimes it doesn't make sense. Sometimes we don't mesh with people. It's okay. Not everybody likes everybody. The people that do like what we have and our services and everything, we get along great with. And we look forward to having, long relationships with people. We're going to be here whenever people are ready. We're not going anywhere. So we got K Moore with 1113. I see you. He says, potentially, ETFs go live, and it's Halloween on the Julian calendar, and everything will change. Stay focused, stay disciplined, stay humble. Blessed. Appreciate you, man. Yeah, this week, again, a little more tinfoil hat for you guys than I normally am. I still have my tinfoil hat over here? No, my wife took it away after Halloween. My little dressing up hat. Uphold posted $1,000 XRP like 4 years ago, 5 years ago, probably 5 years ago now, in 2020, on 9/13, the 9th month, which is September on our calendar, but November is actually 9 if you think about it in Latin, nova. So maybe something on the 13th with the ETFs launching and everything else. Sure will be interesting to watch things play out here. So appreciate you with the 1113 super chat, my man. You and me both are hoping for a fun week. We got Kinsey Mack. There you go, Kinsey Mack. Excuse me. My family wouldn't be in position we are without you. Thank you. ETFs going live potentially this week. You still thinking $50 to $100 with ETFs? I am. I sure am. Excited for things to roll here. Sal says, appreciate you, Mr. Claver. Shout out to Sam Saeed. Hey, very cool, dude. Yeah, Sam was down here this weekend. We had him at the event. He's one of our new advisors. He is just jazzed up to be here. He's super excited to be working at Digital Wealth Partners. He's been in the industry for 25 years. He's worked for Goldman. He's worked for Morgan Stanley, or maybe it was JP Morgan. Not sure which one. He's worked in Dubai. He's worked in the UK, and now he's here with us in the US, working with clients at Digital Wealth Partners. And he is jazzed up. Let me tell you, dude. It's incredible to see how excited our advisors are, and like they can't believe like what we've done and what we've put together and our client base and everything else. So thank you for the feedback. I will pass on the flowers to him. But yeah, I saw him and Joe Slattery, who's another one of our advisors here in town this weekend. It was really cool. There's a lot of good energy, Addie C says, hi, Jake. My boyfriend has around 10,000 XRP. Will he be able to quit his job as a police officer soon? He has a lot of confidence in XRP, but I'm not so sure. We always watch your content. Thank you for that, Addie. I sure hope so. I think that things are going to play out. I don't know that he'll be able to quit his job immediately. I probably wouldn't even recommend that he quit his job immediately on the other side of price appreciation. $100 XRP would give you $1 million. Is that right? Yeah. You had $1 million for 10,000 XRP. Now if it goes to $1,000, now we're talking. Now we got, $10 million. That's enough to retire on. That's enough to stop working. You can put it to work at 5%, earn $500,000 a year, and be just fine. But for $1 million, if you're earning 5% on that, that's $50,000 a year. It could supplement your income, but most people can't live on $50,000 a year. I mean, unless you live in like, Oklahoma or Arkansas. It's pretty hard to get by on just $50,000 a year. So I don't know that he'll be able to quit. I hope that he will. I think by into Q1 next year, I think we are for sure at 4 digits. And at that point, yeah, now you got $10 million, and we'll have products to be able to put it to work and earn you, 3 to 5% on that. So it'd be somewhere between $300,000 and $500,000 a year. Yeah, like that. That's a good enough income that you could probably step away from being a police officer and travel. And I don't know what y'all's plans are. You said boyfriend, so hopefully puts a ring on it. You guys can travel and have fun and have babies and do all the family stuff. I have a very positive outlook for it. I would say that, and I think that him holding that now positions himself really well to be able to capitalize on it. So I don't know how you said soon. If within the next 6 months is soon, yeah, I'll say yes. We got Life Brand says, sup, Jake, Carbon One here. Appreciate you, dude. Plus the LLC and trust. Awesome, man. About 10,000 short of the minimum. Can I go to Anchorage myself, or are there other options, or just cold wallet? Unfortunately, Anchorage will only normally deal with somebody that has, $30 to $50 million in crypto. You might be able to go direct at that point. There's a few other custodians you could probably do that. Well, your cost is going to be significantly higher than what it is with us when you're at that level. Cold wallet until then, unfortunately, is probably the best option. We did just do a video with Uphold. I like their vault solution. Talked to Simon about that 2 years ago when they put that out. I think it's a good option outside of what we provide. It's not institutional custody, but at least they can regenerate the wallet and the keys if something were to happen to you for your family. If you leave your assets on Uphold, I just did the video with Nancy. I love everything that they got going, but I have seen people not end up with the assets for their family if they've left it on Uphold or Caleb and Brown or some of the other exchanges. I've seen, and again, not talking about every time, just what I've seen from people that I've talked to. They liquidated the assets and gave them the cash. So if you want to pass the assets on, I think a cold wallet's probably the best solution in the short term until you can work with digital wealth partners. But Vault would kind of be the blend of that. Because again, they could regenerate the keys for your loved ones, and then they could reconstitute the wallet and then, move the assets wherever they needed to. So just another option out there. Decent is, again, the cold wallet that we recommend if that's something that, you want to move your assets to. But I don't think it'll be a whole lot longer. And if you're just 10,000 short, you'll probably be able to work with us at Anchorage in the not too distant future. We got Cameron, Mr. Lawson. He says, or Mr. Lawrence, they say, when spot XRP ETFs go live, will institutions buy OTC to Ripple, or do they have to buy off the open exchange? Will this reduce the available supply? Yes, and yes. All of the above will be true. Vivo Power mentioned that they can buy XRP at an 82% discount to market value from Ripple, which is pretty interesting for DATs. Aside from that, OTC, there's some volume out there on the OTC exchanges, dark pools. But once that's gone, which would happen very quickly with the amount of demand on the ETFs, the only other option would then be over the open market on exchanges, which would cause a substantial, supply shock and price rise, which is exactly what I've been talking about for an extended period of time. We are about an hour in, so I'm going to go all the way to the bottom here. We're going to work our way up on the super chats. If you've put in a super chat, I will answer it. If you've not put in a super chat, please don't put another one in. I don't want you to waste your money. I'm not going to go down in the comments. If you show up later and do one, we'll figure it out. But I'm just going to go back up through the comments from here. So if you didn't make it in time to do a super chat tonight, wait till the next one. I don't like when people spend money and I don't answer your question. All right, Matt, you got it in last second, dude. Good job. He says, I work a blue collar job, so not a lot of extra funds to invest. What is a realistic amount of XRP I should own to be able to retire with 10K a month in the next 15 years? Well, 15 years from now, it will be 2040. That's crazy to think. 2040. In 2040, XRP is easily $1 million a piece. Absolutely. So if you just needed $10,000 a month, you would need, and you could earn, call it 5%. You might only need 5 XRP. If you were going to hold it for 15 years and not sell it, not do anything with it, and just use it to produce some money at that point, you could escrow it. You could lock it in a wallet for 15 years and then pull it back out at that point. That'd be $5 million times 5% would be about $250,000 a year, which would be actually double what you need there. It'd be about 20 grand a month. I don't know what money's going to be worth in 15 years if they continue to print it at the rate that it is today. I don't think you could probably retire on $10,000 a month at that point. You're probably going to need $50,000 a month just to buy groceries and live in a house if we continue at the rate that we are today. I don't think we're going to. I think they're going to shore up the currency system and it'll be fine. I think we're actually going to have a significant repricing, and 10K will probably go twice as far as it does today in the not too distant future. So anyway, yeah, like if you're really going to wait 15 years and not touch it, not do anything with it, you might only need 5 XRP at $1 million a piece. I know I sound crazy. That's okay. You don't have to believe me. I'm just some guy on the internet. Take it with a grain of salt. But I'm pretty confident I'm going to be right. Otherwise, I wouldn't say it. We got Shannon. What's up, my ma'am? She says, Miss Hanson. She says, my new friend, 50K in Oklahoma is not enough. Part of the mastermind, expecting to have at least 500K to start working with you soon. Well, I have been corrected. Appreciate you, Shannon. 50K is, yeah. And I know people make that. I know people live on it. That's hard, man. Wages haven't increased it really at all since 2001. It's been pretty stagnant. But the cost of living has increased substantially. It's 3 or 4 times higher than it was back then. I remember going with my parents to Walmart and them spending $200 or $300 on groceries, and we would leave with 2 full shopping carts of groceries growing up. And now I go to Walmart and I spend $100 and I walk out with like 4 bags. It's crazy to me to see the amount of inflation that's happened just in my lifetime over the past 20 years. And then the wage gap, right? Like most people don't make a whole lot more than they did 20 years ago. They certainly don't make 3 or 4 times as much. And if you do, then you've just kept up with inflation. You really haven't got ahead of anything, unfortunately. So you're probably right. Max, my business partner at Max Avery, he lives up in Arkansas, and there's plenty of people there that live on $50,000 to $60,000 a year. That's like average wage. And homes there's still homes for less than $100,000. It's a different deal there in Fort Smith, Arkansas. So I don't know what part of Oklahoma you're in, but there are rural parts of Oklahoma that I think are similar to his cost of living there in Arkansas. And so that's what I was mentioning. But if you're in Oklahoma City or Tulsa, probably not. You're probably right. There's not going to be a way to be able to just do very well on $50,000 a year. We got Bob Dylan. Nice. He says, been accumulating since 2018, seen many price predictions and false alarms, 3 to 4 digits in 6 months. Seems insane. Thank you, Mr. Claver. It does. I know look, I know how crazy I sound. And I'm still saying it anyway. I am saying, I give qualifiers around this stuff. It's not like it's a magical flip the switch, wave your magic wand, genie in a bottle, make a wish type thing. It is real macroeconomic events that have to play out and catalysts that will drive the price to those levels. If those things don't play out and we get a traditional speculative bull run on XRP for an alt season, no, we're not getting anywhere close to 3 or 4 digits. It has to be institutional demand and a shortage of supply that's orchestrated and all happens at one time for it to play out the way that I think it's going to play out. So you're 100% right. There are lots of people that have talked about these prices for a long time. The components for it to happen have like haphazardly been in place in the past, but they are all present today. If you'll go watch my domino theory that I put out a year and a half ago in May of 2023, or excuse me, May of 2020, was it May of 20? It was May of 2024. You'll see a lot of the catalysts that I'm talking about that are present today. We have stablecoin bill that's been passed. We have the ETFs right here on the horizon. We have the reverse carry trade imminently going to unwind because of the interest rates and everything else there. You've got the back end of the stock market ready. I was just at Swell, and the president of NASDAQ said, the first place that we're going to use distributed ledger technology and instant settlement is on the back end of the stock market for settlement of post-settlement for trades. That's what she said, not me. Well, it was me. I said, Project Ion was finalized in 2022 with the DTCC, which is specifically the body that she mentioned for back-end settlement and finality on trades. And R3, they developed Project Ion together and finalized that in 2022. And it's been running in tandem with the back end of the stock market since then. But there's not enough liquidity in XRP for them to be able to use it for instant settlement until there's enough institutional demand through the ETFs and other mechanisms and a supply shock to drive it to the prices where they can start using it for that use case. And it just happens to be the only thing with legal clarity here in the US until the Clarity Act gets passed. And guess what? We have a government shutdown that's caused them to kick the can on passing that legislation. Orchestrated? Maybe. Maybe not. Maybe it's all coincidence. But it sure looks like everything that I've been talking about for a year and a half just happens to be playing out real time. So I could be crazy. I'm going to be one of two things. I'm going to be completely wrong and looked on as crazy, or I'm going to be completely right and I'm looked at as a genius. It's going to be one of the two. So we'll see which one it is. I think it's going to be the second one. Just based on a lot of confirmation that I've got from certain parties. But again, it all has to actually play out. It can't just be, some magical, mystical thing that tries to happen and doesn't have actual catalysts that take place in the real world. We've got the Blue Soldier. They say thoughts in HBAR now that the government is open. The government is not open. The government won't be open till Thursday. Okay. It's passed the Senate, still got to go through the House. They got to vote on it. They're not back in session until Wednesday. And then they will vote. And hopefully we will get the government reopening, which is the longest government shutdown that we've ever had. It'll be 40 days, a little more than 40 days. Hopefully this Thursday, things will come back up just in time for everything that needs to happen. On 11/13, nonetheless, November 13th. We got Johnny. What's up, my man? He says, legend about to smash some cherry and cheese strudel. Awesome, dude. Sounds great. And I would like it if you guys would smash the like button, because I don't ever say that enough. If you would kick the like button, share this, subscribe to the channel. It does help the algorithm. It helps us grow. And if you think this is cool, share it with somebody else that you think might find value from it. It is much appreciated. And again, none of this exists. None of this happens without you guys, supporting the channel on all the social media platforms and wanting to engage and learn more. And again, I appreciate y'all taking time out on your Monday night to come hang out with me. We got a couple more super chats here, and then we'll wrap it up for tonight. We got Ken Mr. Moss. He says, "Hey Jake, sun's out. Got to get the guns out." Okay. Smile. If some of the big dogs at Swell agreed with your domino theory. I don't know if that was a big enough smile for you or not, Ken. We got DB. He says, logging into Uphold just now, and it isn't allowing two-factor authentication. Only option is to download their phone app. Have you experienced as well? No, I hadn't had that issue. But they do want you to operate through the phone app. So I don't know. I haven't had that problem, but that doesn't mean that I won't next time I log in. So hopefully, just probably an update that they've run. Nancy was awesome, by the way. Did you guys like that? Did y'all like? I mean, it seemed like you did. We had like 150,000 views on that video in like 24 hours, which is crazy. I've never had that many views on a video that was an interview before. So apparently that was cool. You guys like that. We'll continue to do more cool stuff like that. Maybe we'll get some other protocols on. We'll get some pretty large people on the podcast in the near future that are affiliated with certain companies that you might know, like, and love. And yeah, I think people like that format. And they like a lot of the products that they're building out over there at Uphold for XRP holders, which I do too. And that's why we wanted to share it with you guys. We got Warrior Goddess Miss Jessie. She says, love the mastermind, worth every penny. With wide adoption of blockchain, restructured tariffs, and politicians with crypto portfolios, what's the probability capital gains could be reduced or eliminated soon? It's a great question. Well worded, by the way. Very articulate. And appreciate you being part of the mastermind. Again, I'm just blown away with so many people, so many good people that have come together in that community. If that sounds cool to you, if you want to be part of a cool culture, more in real life events than any other community in digital assets, education, business resources, all the stuff that I think people want from a mastermind for $25 a month and $2 to try it out. Like, I try to make it super simple. And on the other side of price appreciation, we will be locking it down. There will be no more access to the mastermind. It'll be invite only, and it will be a very high price for people to be able to participate in the mastermind. If you get in now, you're locked in at all the price points. You're grandfathered. So even if you just want to, dip your toe in the water to make sure that's secured, I think it's a good choice. And you can go to beyondbroke.com, use the code beyondbroke, all capitalized, the number 1, and then MO like Mary Oscar, get you the first month for $2 for Carbon One or Social. So back to the question at hand. She's talking about capital gains being removed for digital assets. I think on certain digital assets that absolutely makes sense for the use case and application of that asset on chain for settling transactions. So XRP, XLM, HBAR, I do think we'll have capital gains removed. The caveat I would say with that is I don't know if they're going to make it where just across all applications they're removed. They probably will, because they want to incentivize people to sell them. But if they don't, it may be only in actual use of those assets inside of a business application where they are not taxable. Because that's where the banks are going to be using them to be able to settle stuff. And if there's small discrepancies in value from when they send the payment to when it settles, and they're taxed on that capital gain or loss, you'd have to rack all of those up at the end of the year. And that's that's a bunch of accounting work, and with the amount of transactions that MasterCard and Visa and all these people do, they're going to tell them no. Never mind, we're not going to use this. We don't get taxed on our transactions today. It's income. We know how much it is. We make money on it. No thanks. So I do think that it's very likely that you are, going to end up with no capital gains tax on specific American-based cryptos, where the protocols are going to be infrastructure for back-end settlement. Now, till that happens, we have to operate under the current tax regime, which is that they are capital assets and they do have capital gains associated with them. So, I want to operate in that capacity just like everybody else. But as far as today goes, I don't think you should sell it, even if it costs you a little bit more to keep it and loan against it versus selling it. You're going to miss out on the upside and the appreciation of the asset over the long term if you do liquidate it, even if there is no capital gains tax. And so it doesn't make sense to sell it to me. There might be, there will be plenty of people that sell some or all of their crypto as it continues to appreciate. They will sell it into fiat. It gets inflated away. Wealthy people don't sell their assets. Okay. They allow them to continue to accrue value over time. They borrow against them. They leverage them. They use them to produce additional income. They don't sell them. They pass them on to the next generation. They use life insurance and trusts and other structured things to be able to make sure that they're mitigating that risk of probate and creditor protection. And they're able to pass them on generation to generation so that their family stays wealthy. And that's a lot of what we talked about over this weekend at the Laughlin event, if you did attend that, using the Rockefeller method. So the Rockefellers set up the first family office. They were the people that pioneered that. The Vanderbilts did not. The Vanderbilts lost. They were wealthier than the Rockefellers. Vanderbilts were like the epitome of opulence and the highest people in society in the early 1900s. And through 3 generations, they literally lost all of it because they didn't have it structured the right way, and taxes ate the majority of it, passing generation to generation. So if you want to do it the right way, you want to work with professionals, not saying you have to work with us, just please, please, please start thinking about this stuff. Start, studying the wealthy, reading biographies, understanding how stuff operates. If you want to work with us, I feel like we have a really good handle on that for digital assets. I mean, I know we do. We are the best in the world at it at this point. But again, if you want to find your own people, I would just encourage you to start having these conversations with your family and start thinking through this stuff, because it is going to become a wonderful problem to have in the not too distant future, even with no capital gains, which again, I do think is going to happen. We got Boomer Sooner. They say, given Uphold's relationship with Ripple, what is your feeling about having assets left there to sell? I know you think of them like a bathroom. It's a public bathroom. Well, some bathrooms you can spend some time in, but public bathrooms, you get in there, do your business, and get out. But of all places, is it the most secure interim for not confiscating our crypto or freezing? Again, I just did the podcast with them. I think they're fantastic. I think they're a good option. I wouldn't leave my stuff on there. I think it's great to leave cash on there to buy crypto with, or to deposit your paycheck there and then have a type of cash back card and get more cash back in XRP that you move off to your cold wallet. You could get up to 10% cash back. So if you're buying, let's say you're buying $10,000 a month of stuff just to pay your living expenses, and you pay with that card, you get $1,000 a month in XRP. That's pretty good for spending the normal amount of money that you're spending. I think that's great. As far as leaving your assets there, I think they're super secure. I have hesitation about leaving a ton of stuff on there. If there's a portion you plan to sell, sure. But I mean, we saw during the volatility that they didn't let people buy or sell. The site was down. Many other exchanges were the same way. Their OTC desk maybe wasn't down. I don't know. I didn't talk to Austin, who's our account rep there for the OTC desk and Ascent platform. I bet they were still executing trades, but they also deal with high net worth individuals and family offices and people that are executing larger trades. So, if you want to work with the Ascent platform and the institutional side of Uphold, would love to work with people on that. It's about $250,000 on trades, the minimum for them over there. So if that's the size you're looking to execute, we're happy to make an introduction. We're also happy to do that Digital Wealth Partners if you want to do it there, because that would be enough to meet our minimum. So, yeah. Again, I think that they're great at what they're good at. A lot of the banking products and those solutions I think are fantastic. The money market earning 4% on up to $2.5 million insured. Fantastic opportunity there for your cash if you're going to sit it somewhere and wait for opportunities in the market to buy. They have tokenized deposits, and they're just now rolling that out. That was their announcement at Money 2020 that I didn't talk to Nancy about much. A lot of really cool stuff there at Uphold. But as far as security and institutional custody, depends on how much responsibility you want to take on too. I'll say I talked to Simon about this in 23, and I don't know if he wants me to share this or not, but I will. He was like, if you had asked me 3 or 4 years ago if we were super secure, I'd have been like, oh, but he felt really good about their security in 23, and I do too. And now we're 2 years after that, and I can tell you they're probably one of the most secure platforms out there when it comes to an exchange. But you are still a creditor of their platform if your assets are on there. They're not your assets. So, if you're going to be able to borrow a line of credit against your stuff, it's going to have to be over there. If you want cash back, leaving cash and your direct deposit and stuff on there, I think it's a great option. But they could still freeze and confiscate your stuff if it's on Uphold. I'm not going to BS you, even though I did that interview and they were nice enough to be on there, and I do really like their product and I value our relationship with them. I'm going to tell you like it is. Off-road. They say thoughts on all these things happening Thursday, and then November 22nd comes. Yeah, all good stuff here in November. We got Nada 360. They say, can you please tell us your thoughts on Zbeck? I got a whole video on it. Look, that's my thoughts on Zbeck. Is it like a niche use case where there'll be some application for it and it'll gain some adoption and have utility? Sure. Is it going to have a crazy price run and make people millionaires? Maybe. Not overly excited about it. I know a lot of the other influencers are big on Zbeck, and they've made money on it, by the way, from telling people to buy it. That's not my game over here. I'm going to tell you again, I don't come on here to make money or get clicks or views or any of the stuff. We have $1 billion under management at Digital Wealth Partners. We work with family offices to manage their digital assets. We got $300 million in a hedge fund that produces returns on people's XRP. I have other businesses like Syndicately that do end-to-end fund administration for SPVs. I come on here because I enjoy it and I get a lot of fulfillment from it. I don't come on here to show other coins or and I give you full disclosure. I only own XRP and I have $2,000 worth of hash that I bought, which I think is worth $3,500 now. And has it appreciated because I've been talking about it? Maybe. I don't know. Again, nothing here is financial advice. You make your own decisions. I think it's a good opportunity. It reminds me of XDC when I bought it at 3/100 of a penny, because it's not on many exchanges. You kind of have to know what you're doing to get it. You have to go to Figure Markets or Oasis Pro Markets. I even have an affiliate link for Figure Markets that I probably should be giving people that I forget to give people all the time. Because again, I'm not trying to make money off of that. I just want people to understand what's going on and see some cool stuff. And if they think it's an opportunity, maybe they participate, you know? So Zbeck, maybe, but it's nowhere close to the top 20 or 25 cryptos that I would even look at. Gabriel. Oh geez, I'm sorry, Gabriel. Called you Gabriel. I'm sure he's ready to shoot me. He says, what tips do you have for the average people who own XRP? Once they see a lot of amount of money in their wallets, I think naturally they would want to sell. Currently have 2,900 XRP. Don't tell people how much XRP you have. You got your full name here on your profile on YouTube. Please don't tell people how much you have. Don't want to sell. What can I do? I'm gonna hide that again. And I'm not going to say your full name because I don't want people to know who you are and how much you have. If you had smaller amounts of XRP and it goes to $100, let's say it is, around 3,000 XRP, you have about 300 grand. It's not enough money to really do much with. And I'm not saying it's not a lot of money. Okay. Like for some people, that is a lot of money. But in reality, if you're putting it to work, if you're earning 5% a year on $300,000, you're making $15,000 a year. God, can't do math. $300,000, 5%, 15 grand a year, which is like just a little bit more than $1,000 a month. You make a car payment, maybe you make a house payment if you bought a cheap house, put a bunch of money down. Got a 50-year mortgage. Sorry, had to go there. I'd put it to work. I would just let it sit. I would hold on to it. I would keep it as long as you possibly can. I'll tell you a story. My barber, good guy. He's worked all his life. He's a musician. He used to date Miranda Lambert, which is cool. Anyway, he cuts hair. He owns a couple of little locations cutting hair. And it was probably 2 years ago. So XRP is like 30 cents. And I'm telling him about it. And he's like, well, I got $500 in my savings account. I'm like, cool. Perfect. Let's figure this out for you, my man. So I show him how to get on Uphold, and he buys some XRP with the $500. He's got like 1,500 XRP. And I show him how to get it off there and into a cold wallet. When we were talking not too long ago, it ran up and he was excited, He's like, it's not quite enough yet, but like when he gets to 1 million, I'm selling it. And I'm like, please don't sell it. And he's like, why? Like that $1 million would change my life. And I'm like, you think it would, but that goes really fast. You're going to buy a house and a couple cars, and then that $1 million is gone. And then you're still working your job every day. The idea is to buy enough assets and allow them to continue to create enough value for you so that eventually you can buy your time back. And it might take more time for those that don't have as much money to invest in XRP or some of these other digital assets, because it's going to take time for the asset to get to 4, 5, 6, 7 digits, which is going to happen. It's just going to be over a longer period of time for those folks. So if you can have the discipline to just hang on, continue to work your job, and not dip into that, I know it's going to be hard. Like you said, when you see a large dollar amount, like you're going to want to be like, yeah, sell it. You got tax consequences, and you're going to miss out on the additional appreciation of the asset. And maybe you don't even have tax consequences. Maybe they remove the capital gains on crypto and incentivize you to sell it. You're going to miss out on the long-term appreciation of these assets. The cost to benefit there is substantial. Like imagine selling Bitcoin at $100. Say you had 10,000 Bitcoin and you sold it at $100. That's a pretty good comparison, because 10 years later, we're here at $100,000 for Bitcoin. If you could have held for another 10 years, you would have had literally 1,000 times more money. If you had $1 million then, you would have $1 billion today if you had just held on to those 10,000 Bitcoin. So if that gives you any frame of reference, I think the same thing is true for XRP. If you have 10,000 XRP today and you can hang on when it gets to $100 and resist the urge to sell it and hang out for another 5 to 10 years, highly confident that you will also get to participate in a situation where you have, one XRP worth $100,000 a piece. You got Big Joe. He says, once XRP reaches $100, what is the time frame before a potential decrease, or do you believe that a new value will become permanent standard and establish itself firmly? At $100, they can start using it at scale, and it will be the price floor. There will be enough volume over the network to maintain that price in perpetuity because they'll start settling value through it for markets. So yeah, the second part of your question there is what I think will happen once it is a high enough value. Let's see here. We got this person says, hey, Jake, can you see them holding up the ETFs that are supposed to go live this week so they can all go live at the same time? Thanks for everything that you do for all of us. I think that's exactly what they're going to do. And I don't know if they're going to roll everything this week on Thursday or they're going to wait till the next week. I don't know what they're going to do. But I do think, sure would be interesting if there was enough price in XRP for when they finalize ISO, and then they could start using it for instant settlement. Sure would be interesting. The timing of it all. Mr. Vibes says, hey, Jake, I am currently holding 20,000 XRP and I'm continuing to stack. Could I become wealthy in 3 to 5 years? And if so, how are you so sure? Well, again, 5 years from now, I think XRP could easily be $50,000 a piece or $100,000 a piece. And if you had 20,000 of them, that would be $2 billion. I don't know what dollars are worth then. So let me just give you that perspective. I don't know what dollars are worth 10 years from now or 5 years from now. That'd be 2030. And how could I be so sure? Been in the right rooms with the right people, had some conversations. I share what I can share. And I'm confident that you will be just fine. And again, I hope that's not your real name on your YouTube channel. Please take your real name off your YouTube channel. And please don't tell people how much XRP you have. Just as a rule of thumb. Anybody, give them a range. Or you could say my buddy or something else. Like, don't let people know that it's actually you that has that amount of XRP. We got Chomp. He says, Jake the Cake, what's up, my man? Any pro tips for setting up a decent wallet? What can you share that was learned from your experience that you can share? I like adding the 25th seed phrase word. Multi-factor authentication, get to, set up the biometric on there, roll your thumb around, make sure that it has the whole thing. It's pretty standard as far as cold wallets go. You just create the wallet address for whatever the asset is, and then, send a test transaction. That's probably a good pro tip. From the exchange to the wallet, make sure that it lands before you send larger amounts. Keep it somewhere safe. Put it in a safe. Put it in a spot where you know where it's at. That might be like a hidden spot in your house that your spouse knows where it's at. Just you two, or maybe one other person. Sometimes you want to if there is a code or something to get into that, maybe give 2 different people a portion of the code to get into it, so that no one person has all of it. But if you were to pass away, they could get together and figure that out. You tell, in your will who the other person is that has the other half of the code, or maybe you put it in three different people's hands, and they have to bring it all together after you pass away in order to get to the stuff. You just want multiple people involved and multi-factor authentication, and like less chance that stuff's going to get lost. You want redundancies on things. I would write down the code, and if maybe you take one and distribute it across 3 people, and then 2 other ones you hold in maybe your house, and then somewhere else that's not your house in case it burns down. Again, you just want redundancies to make sure that you don't lose the stuff. But those are my pro tips, so hopefully that's helpful. We just went over this one. See if there's any other super chats here before we wrap it up tonight. Man, I think Liners posted. Here it is. I know we talked about this earlier, but if you do want to set up, if you want to work with us on a digital, this is for the Mastermind. He always gets me with that. So the Mastermind code is Beyond Broke, all capitalized, number 1, and then MO gets you the first month for $2 there in the group. And then he's also posted the code for the LLC. So if you want to work with us to be able to set up your LLC to manage digital assets, we do it a very specific way so that you can get all the tax advantages, get the anonymity, get the creditor protection, you get everything end to end. It gets maintained by us and you. And if you do that, the code is 50 off 50 OFF DAG LLC. That's 50 off DAG LLC at digitalfamilyoffice.io, and it gets you everything end to end for your digital asset LLC to be able to manage your assets and make sure that you get creditor protection, anonymity, and all the other fun stuff we talked about. We got Wetter. What's up? They say legend. Feeling slightly dumb and old asking this, but I'm 40. You're not old or dumb, Wetter. And I want to talk about this for a second. I've said this before. Don't talk bad about yourself. Don't even jokingly talk bad about yourself. Your subconscious soaks all that stuff up. Whether you think it's, self-deprecating jokes often lighten the mood with other people, and they do show that you're humble and, able to do that. But talking down about yourself is not good. So I'm just going to say that. You are smart and you are young and spry. He says, I'm struggling to find the town halls / events for the group, another XRP info on Discord and the Mastermind. What's the best way for me to learn this? Our moderators, if you want to go to the the Q&A channel. So if you're in the general chat, there is a Q&A channel. Ask questions in there. They'll give you all the answers. I promise. Our moderators are fantastic there in the Mastermind and the Discord. And they will tell you exactly where everything is. The events, if you want to scroll all the way up to the top on the left-hand sidebar in the Mastermind with all the channels, there's a thing that looks like a little calendar. It's called events. You can click on it. You can find all the town halls and everything in there, and then you can listen in. If you want to listen to recordings of the town halls, there's a channel that's labeled Call Recordings in the general chat. You can listen back to, we probably have 2,000 hours over the past 2.5 years of running the Mastermind that are recorded there that you can listen back to. And then there's tons of other group chats in there, especially in general chat. Like there's all kinds of stuff for different topics and different jurisdictions. Carbon One gets a little bit more professional with the private deals that we run in the community and some other channels. And then Carbon 2 is much more like higher level estate planning, insurance, business development type stuff. Mr. Fleetwood says, hey, Jake, could you elaborate further on XRP being the only for corporations at some point? Would setting up an LLC protect us from that? Like on this, I'm not trying to fearmonger people. I know there are going to be people that say that. So I just want to cut that off. I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but I'm going to tell you that setting up an LLC to protect your digital assets and provide yourself anonymity and work in a world where this is the global backbone for the infrastructure for the financial rails and how all the value moves, and they're vetted people that are participating in the ecosystem, setting it up as an LLC to manage your wallet cannot hurt ever in that circumstance, which is what I believe is absolutely the outcome of what's going to happen. So there is a higher probability that it's likely that there will be only corporations, enterprises, and institutions that are able to hold and utilize XRP over the long term. In that situation, going ahead and structuring a company to hold and manage a digital asset at this time, get the creditor protection and the anonymity would be highly beneficial. And so that's why we work with a lot of people to go ahead and structure it that way. You don't get zero taxes if you do it this way, but it does mitigate. It allows you to mitigate because you get the full tax code to be able to write off expenses against your income versus just having it pass through as income to yourself. And again, if you do a sole proprietorship or whatever else you want to do, if you're just have it as direct income, you're just going to owe the taxes. You don't have any way to mitigate taxes other than the standard, deduction that you can take. And you can try to take other deductions, but having it in LLC is going to get you the creditor protection, the limited liability, the anonymity, and all the other fun stuff alongside, the write-offs that you can get. So again, if you want to work with us to set that up, all you got to do is use the code 50OFF, 50OFF LLC, and that gets you everything end to end for the LLC here in the US. Timothy, Mr. Massey says, Jake, thank you for all that you do. My wife and I discovered XRP and went all in. Awesome, dude. Your channel has been helpful. Sorry for sending a second super chat. No, dude, you're awesome. Thank you so much for the super chat and taking time out of your evening for you and your wife to listen in. And kudos to you for taking a big swing on an opportunity that you think is going to do well for yourself and your family. We got James. He says, hey, Jake, the legend. What's up, dude? What is your opinion on Prime Vault 3 live on Decent Wallet with Doppler Finance? I think it's a cool solution. It's not institutional custody. I like Doppler. We had lunch with those guys at Swell. I think that they have a cool product. I think that they're innovative. We're trying to figure out, how we can work together. A lot of stuff that's going on violates securities laws here in the U.S., and that's why they geofence the U.S. and inhibit people from participating that are here and American citizens. So, if we can structure it the right way, then there may be some synergy for us to work together in the near future. But I think it's very innovative and give kudos to, Decent for putting that together for people. This person says the response was join the mastermind. I did, but to be honest, I'm there and it's useless as I need to get real advice, not talk to other dreamers. Can you help? Yeah, you can talk to one of our advisors, my man. A lot of people here, and not, again, like I said, not everybody finds a ton of value in the mastermind, and that's okay. If you want a community of other people that you can talk to, meet with, that might live close by to you and like cultivate relationships. Some people are introverts and they don't value that as much, which again, nor here nor there. If you're looking for real advice, I would go to digitalwealthpartners.net and use the contact us form, and they are financial advisors and they can tell you exactly how to position your crypto portfolio. They can advise you on everything. That's $300 for a consult, and they can give you full financial advice on everything to do with your digital assets. Said it emailed your team the last live stream. They could help me get out of Australia and reduce my taxes by joining. I don't know who told you we could reduce your taxes by joining the mastermind. It's not going to happen. We do have resources to help you get out of Australia if you want to. We have multiple people that can help you move to Dubai or other jurisdictions. But again, if you want those resources, you're going to have to email us at info@digitalfamilyoffice.io, and we can share other people that are in Australia. And if you tell them that you want to get out of Australia and you want to go to Dubai or whatever jurisdiction you want to go to, and they will get you the right people in that jurisdiction. If you tell them you're there in Australia, they're just going to give you our resources in Australia. So you need to be specific about what you want. Neil, we're going to take Neil and then we're going to wrap it up tonight. He says, Jake, If we get ETF rollout this week, do you think we get a pullback after the price pump? Zach says we could see 50% pullback. I don't agree. Also, Cashew Nate put out great video on XRP Global Connections. Love Cashew Nate. He's awesome. I don't know. How do I say this? I wish I knew exactly what was going to happen. I just know the final outcome. And how we get from here to there and the volatility in between could go a bunch of different ways. So, if you're trying to buy and sell and trade the action, it's not my game. I'm not a TA guy. I'm more of a long-term wealth preservation, grow your wealth slowly, maintain it over generations, protect it. Like that's my game. Selling, I'll say this. We don't make any money if you sell your crypto, whether you work with digital wealth partners or not. I'm never going to advocate for you selling the asset that's going to produce generational wealth for you and your family. You're not going to go broke taking profits. There's nothing wrong with taking profits. I think a lot of people are going to be wrong-footed, thinking that things have topped and they're going to continue to go up and to the right. And then you're going to have seller's remorse, which I did plenty in 20 and 21. I can tell you, like I sold all my Chainlink when it got to $8 and I thought I crushed it. And then it kept going. And I was like, oh no, what have I done? So there's Caleb and Brown. They make money on you selling your crypto. They charge you 3 to 3.5% on those transactions. They also pay people really nice affiliate fees when you do that. So if people are putting out content telling you to sell your crypto because they think there's going to be a pullback, there might be additional things there that you should think about. Incentives or benefits to certain people for propagating that narrative. I always want to align the way that we make money at Digital Wealth Partners and our firm with the client. And I always want the client to get more value than they're paying us. So, again, aligned value is hold it over the long term, continue to grow and compound your wealth without having to deal with taxes, and making sure that it's structured the right way and protected, that your spouse is on the account, you have beneficiaries on the account. You're not going to have to liquidate your crypto and lose the golden goose that lays the golden eggs. Like, I don't know a better analogy for what XRP is over the long term. So take that with a grain of salt. Again, I'm just some guy on the internet with my biases and my opinions. Use your own discernment to make the best choices for you and your family. I wish I had all the answers, but unfortunately I don't. I just know the wealthiest people, the highest valued stock accounts. Can you guess who they belong to? Dead people that didn't add a beneficiary. Time in the market always beats timing the market. 96% of traders lose money, and they miss out on long-term gains. So again, do what's best for you and your family. I got 2 more super chats here, and then we are going to wrap it up. We got William. He says, explain to me like I'm a golden retriever. Why not sell my 15,000 XRP and put it into an ETF once approved? Another popular YouTuber was hacked today. Yeah, I heard that about Darren. I hate that, man. He's really good people, and he's kind of monotone, but he puts out a lot of good information, and he has for years. He's awesome. So I really hate that. I've actually connected him with our team to be able to help him try to recover that crypto. So I hope he's able to get it back. Why? Okay. Why would you sell your gold and then buy a gold ETF? you're going to pay fees to somebody else for them to hold the asset. If you could margin it anyway, because we'll be able to do that through a DR or some other means while you're holding the real asset, I just don't see the additional benefit. And you're then subject to whatever somebody else wants to do with the asset. ETFs are also very limited in what they can do with the asset. A DAT, I think a DAT would make sense. Like if you wanted to contribute your XRP to a DAT that's going to trade above MNAV and pay you a dividend, yes, for sure. Most of those don't allow in kind though. So you would have to sell it and then buy the DAT with it. That I think makes sense. And I think Evernorth and some other ones are going to have a lot of adoption in that capacity, because every dollar that you put in Evernorth versus XRP, I think is going to have more of a return in Evernorth than it would in just the asset. And they're going to have, similar to DWP, volume, right? They're going to be able to get partnerships and access to stuff and lower rates and a bunch of things that are going to add additional returns that you wouldn't be able to get as an individual. So being part of a larger community like Digital Wealth Partners, where you're still able to maintain your own personal account with your digital assets, but participate in larger opportunities, I think makes a ton of sense. Or a DAT. ETFs, they're not going to pay a dividend. There's no native staking for XRP. You're just going to get, it's just going to trade at the same price, and you're going to pay a fee to somebody else to manage that XRP for you. So, you know, I don't see a benefit to that, especially if you wanted to margin against it. Like we could just do that through depository receipt or some of the other means that we have at Digital Wealth Partners. We got Timothy Massey one last time. He says, ready to make 90K plus buy on Kraken, holding funds for days while Uphold releases right away. For someone with liquidity, which is a better route? Are there extra steps, LLCs, accreditation, etc.? Just need to know the right people. If you wire the money over, shouldn't have any issue. Corporate accounts tend to be a little bit easier to buy through. I can get you with Austin over at Uphold, or our team over there at Kraken. Also, either one of those can set up an institutional account for you so that you can buy OTC. 90K, unfortunately, isn't quite to the amount that they want to do for OTC trades. They want their first trade to be at least $250,000, and then they'll do as little as 100,000 per trade after that. I know that's stupid. Like, you would think, come on, man, like 90 grand's a good clip. Like, that should be good enough. Unfortunately, they have their rules and their minimums. If you're a client with us, we can do 20 bips across the board. Doesn't matter how much you're trading, $1,000, $1 million, it's 20 basis points. So if you're a Digital Wealth Partners client and you have enough XRP, if you have at least 50,000 XRP, that's the minimum for Digital Wealth Partners. We would love to work with you. All you got to do is go to digitalwealthpartners.net and use the contact us form, and they will get you onboarded and get you going over there with institutional custody. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap it tonight. Again, if you guys want to check out the Mastermind, we would love to have you there. All you got to do is go to beyondbroke.com, use the code BeyondBroke, all capitalized, the number 1, and then MO gets you the first month for $2 there in the Mastermind. If you do need an LLC to be able to manage your digital assets and protect them, get the creditor protection, the anonymity, and a lot of the other stuff we talked about tonight, you can use the code 50OFF50 OFFDAG LLC and get you everything end to end for $2,000 there at digitalfamilyoffice.io. So appreciate you guys taking time out on your Monday night to hang out with me over here on TikTok, YouTube, X, and Facebook. I hope you'll have a wonderful week, and we'll see you on the next one.